So here we're asked to complete a table to show all the factors of 8, 12 and 16, and the factors of 8 have already been done, so they've given us this example, and the factors of 8 are 1, 2, 4 and 8. And one thing I'll say about the factors, which is always important to keep in mind, is that all a factor is a number which when multiplied by another number will give us the kind of number we're given at the start, which is 8. So for the factors of 8, we can see that we've got 2 times 4, which is 8, and also 1 times 8, which is 8. And so we're going to be basically following this process to get the factors of 12. And what I always do is go from the start of the list and then also fill in the end, because it's always going to be the start and the end by each other. And so we know that 1 is a factor of 12 because 1 is a factor of everything. And we also have 12 at the end because we got 1 times 12 to give us this number 12. And so we're going to be following this process. The next thing we need to do is test out the number 2. So I'm going to put 2 in here. Not permanently for now, but just to see if it works. And is there any number that when we multiply it by 2 gives us 12? And we know that there is, because 12 is an even number, and so if we divide 12 by 2 we get 6. And so I'm going to put 6 at the end of our list here, and so we're making progress now. And the next number to test out is 3, so I'm going to put 3 in our list, and if we divide 12 by 3 we're going to get 4. So 4 is also a factor of 12. And these are actually all our factors. You can also test out 5, and 12 divided by 5 is not an even number, and so we don't need to do that here, so it's not a factor. But we've got a full list now. And the good thing about factors as well is that once you get up to halfway through, so if you do it this way, once you get up to 6, there's going to be no factors which are larger than 6 and less than 12. So 8's not going to work and 10's not going to work. So that's always a nice thing to know, is that you can sort of just stop halfway through, because no other number that's greater than half of 12 is going to work. And then for 16 we're going to do the same process. So we're going to start with 1 and straight away put in 16, because these are definitely going to work. And then we move on to 2. If we get 16 divided by 2, we know that we get 8, so that's going to be the second last number on our list as well. And then moving on to 3, we know 3 doesn't work, because 16 over 3 is not it's not a natural number. It's going to be decimals, and so we leave 3 out of it. We know that 4 works, and actually 4 is going to be multiplied by 4, and so 4 is kind of, although 4 times 4 is giving us 16, 4 is just one factor, so we don't put 4 in the list twice. And actually if we test out 5, 6, 7 and so on, none of these other numbers work, and so to our list is correct, but I'm just going to tidy it up slightly to get rid of that big gap in the middle that we left, just in case we found any other numbers. But all of our factors of 16 are going to be 1, 2, 4, 8 and 16. So interestingly, all multiples of 2. And so moving on to the next part of our question now, we're asked to multiply out and simplify these brackets. And so we have x in these brackets, and to simplify brackets we always follow the same process, which is to take the first bracket, which is x plus 3, and separate this out into 2 different things, which is x and 3. So we're going to have x times something, and then we're going to have plus 3 times something as well. And so this is basically just breaking it down step by step until we get an answer. And so we've got the first bracket is kind of separated now, and we just put in what we have in the second bracket, which is x minus 2, into these 2 kind of empty spots here to get this kind of just looking nice and ready to simplify further. And so to do that, we're just going to start multiplying in. For our first bracket, we're going to multiply in x. So we have x times x, which is x squared. So anything times itself is going to be the squared, so that's fine. And then we've got x times minus 2. So I'll actually show you here what I'm doing. So we've done x times x. Now we're doing x times minus 2, which is minus 2x. And so actually, I always think multiplication with algebra is actually easier, because you're usually just combining the numbers together and you haven't used your calculator, which is nice. But we've done our first bracket now, and so we're going to be moving on to our second bracket, which has 3 times x and 3 times minus 2. And so we can do this now. So 3 times x is 3x, and 3 times minus 2 is minus 6. So we're going to have that there at the end. And we're almost there now, but there is one more thing we can do, and that is to combine what we call like terms. So like terms is just kind of 2 different terms in our expression, which we can add together into one term. And in this case, we've got minus 2x plus 3x, which is going to be the same as plus x. Because if you take 3x and you subtract 2 of that, you're going to end up with just x at the end. And so that's going to be our final kind of simplified expression now, and it is indeed a quadratic. And that's going to sort of lead us on nicely to the next part of the question, which is to do the reverse process. And so here we're given this quadratic, x squared plus 2x minus 3, and we're asked to basically factorize it, which is the opposite of simplifying something. And when it comes to quadratics, we always want to look for factors of numbers on the end. So in this case, it's going to be -3, which add up to give us what we have in the middle, which is +2. And so what I'm going to do is just figure out kind of different factors of -3 and how they can give us +2. And so because it's a negative number, there's basically two ways we can do this, because we know the factors of -3, the factors of 3 are 1 and 3. And so we just need to figure out now how the signs work. And because it's -3, we need to have a negative times a positive. So there's two ways this can happen. The first way is going to be -1 times 3, which will give us -3. And the second is going to be just 1, which is positive, times -3. So these are going to be our two possibilities. And so now what we need to do is test out which one of these, when we add these two together, are going to give us +2. And the answer is going to be 3 minus 1, or -1 plus 3. So you can see here that if we take 3 and we subtract 1, we end up with 2. If we instead chose this one, we'd end up with -2, which wouldn't be much good to us. And so we found which of our factors are going to work here. And the next step is just to put these in our brackets. So all the work is done here basically. So we put -1 in our first bracket and +3 in our second bracket. And this is the factorization of the quadratic. And so that is going to be it for this question.